This is my family, plus the foreign exchange student we were hosting that year. And that is my mom. My family has always been pretty close, maybe because we lived in a 2-room cabin together for a year and a half, but I think it has more to do with the fact that we were all homeschooled. That's right, instead of waking up and trundling onto a bus, we trickled down the stairs each morning to sit at the kitchen table and learn together. Who would decide to do such a thing, you might ask? I'll tell you. It was my mom. Sure, my dad had a say in it too, but my mother was the driving force behind our education. When I was little, I never stopped to think what trick of fate, or work of God, led my family to our unconventional lifestyle. I didn't know that my family would be completely different had my mother missed one page in a magazine.
I needed to use books and magazines and newspapers to do some research for a project that I don't even remember what the project was. But what I do remember is, as a young girl, probably a sophomore or junior in high school, I was struck by a piece in a certain magazine that wasn't an article, but an advertisement. It was about a middle-class family from California who looked normal in every respect, but they had their children taken away from them. And the reason they'd had their children taken away from them wasn't because of any kind of abuse, but because they had decided to educate their children at home. This was my first exposure to any kind of home education. And after reading the article, I remember thinking how unfair this was, that this family, basically their only crime was that they cared enough about their children to put aside all of their own interests and educate their children at home. And so as a young girl of 16 or 17 years old, that formulated an opinion for me that it was a good thing, and maybe even the right thing, to educate my children myself. And so, several years later, when I found that I was the mother of a young girl, I decided, even before she took her first steps, that she would be home educated.
That girl she's talking about is me. I was homeschooled from infancy to my high school graduation. Of course, it hasn't always been easy for my mom. She writes on her blog, "Theoretical parenting is not nearly as difficult as hands-on. I have never done anything in my life as difficult as being a parent." Still, she doesn't let that stop her from homeschooling. She's still just as determined to teach her children at home as she was when she first saw that ad, that one page in a magazine that dramatically changed the course of her life.